Welcome back into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of the Practice Report. That's Tim May, the 40-year vet. That's Andy Baxter. I'm Spencer Holbrook. It's the Cotton Bowl Report. And if you don't think this game matters, then Jack Sawyer thinks that's a bowl. This is a friendly show. Jack Sawyer said it was French. I don't think it's French. It's more American in its way.
Mike Tyson says it's French.
And since we're heading to the Cotton Bowl, that seems pretty apt that he called it bowl crap, I guess, because the Buckeyes are prepared to send a full roster down there. Not the guys who entered the portal, of course. No Kyle McCord, no Julian Fleming, no Chip Trainum. He's with Kentucky. But the Buckeyes, a lot of the juniors who had decisions to make, guess what? They're all playing. Denzel Burke's playing. Jordan Hancock's playing. Jack Sawyer is playing. Donovan Jackson's playing.
Emeka
Egbuka is playing. Like, you're going to see a pretty full Ohio State roster against Missouri. Bad news for the Tigers, good news for the folks in Columbus. Tim, opening reaction from hearing all these guys who are going to play in this game.
Well, I pointedly asked Jack Sawyer about the people who are calling this a meaningless game, et cetera. You know, if you don't make the college football playoff anymore and you're in the realm of Ohio State and some others around the country like Georgia, Florida State, the feeling is the bowl game you're playing is meaningless. It's an exhibition. Well, number one, they always have been to a certain extent.
Yeah.
That's really what the college football playoff is, really, when you think about it, for the loser of the first two rounds of the college football playoff. But the bottom line is, as he said, pardon my French, but that's BS.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little closer to what he said than bull, I guess. But the point is, it looks like these guys are going in there focused. Led offensively, it does appear, by Devin Brown.
We'll
Going to get his
that,
first
sure.
start as a quarterback. He's pretty fired up about it. Xavier Johnson seems like he wants to go out in a flame of glory, et cetera. So right on down the line, I mean, you got a little more insight into their psyche. Yeah, that loss to the, quote, team up north, end quote, still hangs heavy in the air around here. Their third straight loss to them. But the bottom line is life goes on, and it looks like these guys are going to be aching to play on December the 29th in Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas.
Thank you for the exact coordinates there,
I don't know
Tim.
if the top
Appreciate
will be
it.
open or not.
Another Buckeye who's going to be playing, and then will also be playing in a lot of games next year, is Cody Simon, who not only said he's playing in the Cotton Bowl, but said he's coming back for another year, made that public. That's on LettermenRow.com from Mr. Andy Baxter. Andy, opening takeaways after hearing from the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Cody Simon's coming back, and he's supposed to be, that next quarterback of the defense. We're all expecting Tommy Eichenberg to depart. He's already accepted a Senior Bowl invitation, so that seems to be well on its way. So Cody Simon is in the fold. He already played that role, replacing Tommy Eichenberg in 2 games down the stretch of this season, and he's someone that rotated in for more than 300 snaps defensively this year. So it's good news for the Buckeyes to have him back. He's been a leader on this team for a couple of years now, even despite not starting. He did start in the 2021 season, so that's big for them. But yeah, making the change from understanding that you lost to Michigan and you have to now, come to terms with this reality that you're not playing the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Denzel Burke said that took him a while. Really wasn't until late last week that he came to terms with that reality. And that's probably the most difficult thing about this. You want to build towards this game, the Cotton Bowl, and build towards next season, have motivation for what's to come in 2024. But making that shift, you could just get the sense from talking to these guys, as much as it's easy to say that you do it, it's hard to actually do it. Mm-hmm. And I think they've done it, but it took a couple weeks.
It's interesting to me because if you look back in 2021, at the end of the season, you had the 2-week hangover after the loss to Michigan. And it's a lot of sulking and it just feels like the program is in a downward spiral. And then the Rose Bowl lifts you back up out of that. You had the 2-week hangover after the loss to Michigan last year at home.
1 week.
I still think it was a little bit of, well, yeah, you're right, because they got into the college football playoff, and that kind of lifted them back up. But then the Georgia game, even in a loss, lifted them again. This time, it feels like they want to make sure they take the program into a good offseason after a loss to Michigan. This has been a 2-week hangover. Jack Sawyer even said that it's still, he just said he doesn't want to use the word haunts because he doesn't want Michigan to have the satisfaction of knowing that they haunted Ohio State. But he did say that it's still hurting, and that's okay that it's still hurting. It's been a 2-week terror for Ohio State, to put it lightly. But you win in the Cotton Bowl, and you have all these guys play and potentially decide to return for another year, and you're talking about a team that was number 7 or 8 probably in the preseason polls next year to 2 or 3 in the preseason polls next year, high expectations. You're talking about getting the snowball rolling back down that hill and creating some momentum for the next year. I think that they're starting to realize that there might be light at the end of this Michigan tunnel that the Cotton Bowl can serve as the springboard that they might need to get back on the right foot. That's almost the sense that I was getting today from talking to some guys. It seems like they understand what this Cotton Bowl can represent.
Well, there's a lot in flux. And I think we're going to talk about this when we get to Dallas too. But there's a lot in flux, the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is where we'll be.
Yeah.
There's a lot in flux for this team right now. The most influx is Devin Brown going to show the world that he is worthy of being the starting quarterback for Ohio State in 2024.
Yeah.
Because he will have a definite chance at a major head start in this game. He's out here talking to us for the first time really since we talked to him after the Purdue game, when he had that great Purdue game. And like I said, the feeling then was that Ryan Day was trying to work him into it now because he wanted to bring him on. He wanted another option at quarterback, not necessarily to be the starter, but to when Kyle McCord would get a little mired occasionally on different games, to get him in there. Now this is his chance to plant his flag, put his foot in the ground. He's already burned his boats.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's not getting back on the boat. I'm not sure, there was a little dinghy out there somewhere that wasn't burned, but the bottom line is he wants to prove that he is worthy of being a starting quarterback at Ohio State. And then there are these other jobs that I won't get into that are the same way. I mean, this is their moment to, like you said, propel into 2024. And the interesting thing is, that's the best way of saying it, because this game is going to be the last game they play in 2023.
Yeah.
December the 29th. What an odd date.
Yeah. Well, we can't just completely skip past Lincoln Keenholz and the development that he's going to have here in the next couple weeks. Yeah, I know. And so, Devin is probably going to start in this game, but I'm very intrigued to see Lincoln as well. Obviously, the intrigue.
reason I do is Devin Brown was a much more highly touted quarterback coming out of high school than Lincoln Keenholz for many reasons.
But, that's where the focus is right now, is Kyle McCord is gone. He's actually today in Lincoln, Nebraska, visiting and potentially going to Nebraska to play football. He's not here. And so it's Devin Brown, it's Lincoln Keenholz, it's
Dylan Rayola's there too today, isn't he?
We don't need to talk about that right
anyway.
now. We don't need to talk about that right now. But, this is a Devin-Lincoln conversation now heading into the Cotton Bowl, and that also gives you some hope for what next year could look like. And I think today officially serves as like the turn the page, get to the Cotton Bowl prep. And it's going to be an interesting couple weeks here, Andy, for the quarterback position and for the entire offense at Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to run with this, but an interesting just discussion overall about the quarterback position, Kyle McCord's departure, and mixed responses. Some people knew about it, some people were surprised about it. And maybe that's just the transfer portal. Maybe that's just the way the world works, but that was interesting to hear. And then now Devin Brown has all the options, and Lincoln Keenholz as well. You're working with a full chamber of offensive options, pretty much. I mean, that's what we're expecting, at least from what these guys just told us. And what's really interesting is that these 2021 class guys, the third-year guys that could leave for the NFL early, well, it seems like it's a group decision, because that's the way that Jordan Hancock was saying it. He said, we're all talking to each other about this decision. Yeah. It's a team almost decision with this mindset. And that's not to say that they're all going to say one thing or all going to go in the other direction, but they're at least talking about it like that with each other. And they all have different reasons to play. Like Jordan Hancock said, he plays in the slot now. He'd go up against Luther Burden, who's one of the best wide receivers in the country, someone who will be playing on Sundays at some point. And he said that's an opportunity for him to show what he can do. Same thing for Tyleik Williams, continue to show scouts what he can be at the next level. So it serves a dual purpose, right? Shows them what they can be in this next month, what next season could look like if they wanted to return. Could also show NFL scouts what they can be on Sundays if they choose to do that too.
Yeah, and it's funny because Missouri is definitely treating this like a moment, a big moment in program history. Missouri is, and you can't go in there half-hearted. And the funny thing about that Rose Bowl, when you think about it, back then, that Rose Bowl was another time that Ohio State hadn't dealt with in a long time, of not being either the Big Ten champion or in the college football playoff, et cetera. And we all saw that they became aware of what kind of dogfight they were in about early in the second quarter, because Utah was kicking their butt. And then all of a sudden you saw the heart, what I call it, the heart of the Ohio State football program kick into gear. And then, and of course, C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith, and Jigba had the most ridiculous game, especially second half. Who's to say that can't happen for Devin Brown and Emeka Egbuka in a game like this? That matters. And but the one thing they can't do is sleepwalk into a game with Missouri, because Missouri is treating this like a moment in time to establish themselves as among the elite in the college football world. I'm not sure. They've gotten really close against Georgia the last 2 years, and I think the Ohio State players understand they're not walking into a cakewalk. This is a big-time game, a big-time challenge.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting for me now, knowing that some of these guys are going to play, that don't have to play, is in 2021, no one on that defense was good enough to leave early.
Right.
So
yeah,
they didn't really have decisions
even
to
after
make.
that game.
Steele Chambers, Tommy Eichenberg, and Cade Stover.
Cade Stover.
Yeah, were the three linebackers.
Yeah,
I was
the
trying to
three
think of
amigos.
linebackers, and instead I had to think of a tight end.
Yeah.
They were the three linebackers for Ohio State in that game. So, like, the future was there at that moment. The future could be there at that moment, but also you could see a lot of guys who are going to go on to the NFL still choosing to play in this game. So it is a little bit different of a feel as the Rose Bowl, but it serves the same point of get to the offseason with a lot of momentum. This is only the third time I think Ohio State's ever been in the Cotton Bowl. That's why I was trying to figure out. I think it's 1987.
Well, it was 1986 season. Ohio State went 10 or 9-3 in the regular season.
That's why we keep this guy around.
And then they beat, Kyler Murray's dad was the quarterback for Texas A&M, Kevin Murray, and they were favored in that game. And Chris Spielman had a hell of a game, along with a bunch of other Buckeyes, including Chris Carter. That team kind of fell apart in '87. That's another story for another day. But that was a big moment. I remember his Earl Bruce had obtained the reputation or the moniker of being 9-3 Earl, because he had finished 9-3 the previous 5 or 6 years in a row. And as he's walking out of the locker room after we'd finished interviews, I said, Coach Bruce, I said, it just struck me. You guys aren't 9-3. Y'all are 10-3. And he goes, that's right. We're 10-3. No more of this 9-3. What did Jack Sawyer say?
BS.
Yeah, BS. I mean, bowl games can leave their own mark, and I think that's the way they're looking at it.
Yeah, the 2017 Cotton Bowl, a little bit of the same way. A couple guys opt out, but by and large, Buckeyes band together. That was in the first part of the opt-out era, and they get it done against USC. It's Sam Darnold. This time it's going to be against Missouri. Andy, before we get out of here, closing thoughts. We've now heard from the Buckeyes. This is our pseudo Cotton Bowl media day until we get to Dallas. We're not going to talk to the players again until we get down to Dallas. Maybe the mindset of this program moving forward, the guys choosing to come back, I don't know. There's a lot here, but today is a lot about the guys who are going to be playing and the guys who we didn't think maybe they had a decision to make, and now they've made the decision. They're going to play, and I think that's really good news, just for the health of the program, that you're seeing guys kind of band together.
Yeah, certainly, and you can sense that itch is still there to want to beat Michigan, to want a Big Ten championship. Like, that's why these decisions are so hard for them. It's because of those team goals. And I also just thought there was a lot of honesty today from guys. I mean, Josh Fryer was open about, I kind of regressed in that final game of the season. I need to be better. The sacks are there. And he went into detail what he needs to be doing better at that tackle position. We heard Jordan Hancock talk about the defense, and he said, honestly, this loss to Michigan did feel different from the last 2 years. It's not that it felt better, but it felt different. It wasn't the same kind of beatdown. We need to be better. So it just felt like there was a lot of candor with these players today, which I think we all appreciated. And it seems like we've done a lot of reflection over the last couple of weeks.
And what was funny is, as the thing was getting ready to start, in walked Biletnikoff Award winner, fresh Biletnikoff Award winner, number 4 in the Heisman Trophy voting, Marvin Harrison Jr. with Reese Stocksdale, and they went over and to the Monarch machine and stuff. And the point is, just imagine, I don't think any of us expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to be back next year with Ohio State based on his ranking at the moment. But just imagine if he holds up his hand and says, I'm playing also.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, what a going out party it could be. And Devin Brown, his eyes will be this big because he'll be throwing the most, speaking of the fleet that he burned in that photo in the harbor, just think about that fleet of receivers he's got, because we're all getting ready to watch Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis and all these other guys coming up. But just imagine if he has Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka in that game. That's kind of just throw it out there, you can't miss.
Yeah, for sure. And there are quite a few guys we haven't heard from who could still be making decisions. There's Travion Henderson, who we don't know if he's going to play, if he's going to opt out, go to the NFL, if he's going to play and come back, if he's going to play and go to the NFL. He has a big decision to make. There's a guy like Lathan Ransom, who probably isn't going to play just because of the injury, but has a decision to make on whether he's coming back. there are so many other guys that we didn't hear from today. And
Yeah.
JT Tuimola, a big one. Is he going to play? I don't know. Is he coming back? I don't know. A combination of the two? Who knows? But if you don't see decisions from these guys, I would expect them to play because they are probably going to announce if they're going to opt out and go to the NFL.
There's got to be a moment. There's got to be a moment coming where, figuratively, Ryan Day says, "Hold up your hand if you're playing."
Ohio State has to know who's going to be on the
and
roster.
I think that starts next week. You know, when they really get into some serious bowl prep, or maybe the end of this week when they get into some serious bowl prep. But you kind of want to know who's on the roster and who isn't, and that's coming. And whether we'll find out faster or slower remains to be seen.
The Buckeyes are in full Cotton Bowl mode. When we walked into this building, beat, and then the Missouri logo was up there. That's a first. We haven't seen that one. I don't know if Ohio State's ever played Missouri, but I'll do some research and find out.
They've played Missouri.
They've played Missouri.
The first year I moved to Ohio in 1976, I think Missouri beat them in Ohio Stadium. I may be wrong. I mean, there was a hell of a game. I remember I had the worst seats in the house. And then, of course, everybody remembers Andy Katzenmoyer decleating Corby Jones in
everybody, for sure.
Well, it's one of the great plays in Ohio State football history. Immerse yourself.
I'm just
in
messing with you, too.
But that was at Missouri. Is one of the great plays ever. So yeah, they have met before. They met in a season opener, I think, in 1942, for example, when Paul Brown was the head coach at Ohio State. I don't know if that was I think it was the season opener. But yeah, these teams have met before. Missouri is a proud program that has kind of done this through the years. Was in the Big 8, was a major factor in the Big 8 at one point.
Yep.
Kind of came and went. In my opinion, they're the third, maybe fourth best team in the Southeastern Conference this year. This is a challenge.
They'll meet again on December 29th at 8 p.m. in the Cotton Bowl in Jerry World AT&T Stadium with the big screen. So you can watch it there, you can watch it on the field. Tim May, the 40-year vet, he's going to watch it from wherever he wants
I'll
to.
probably watch it on the big screen most of the time.
In the
where
Cotton
that press
Bowl.
box located.
So will Andy Backstrom. He'll be there. I'll be there as well. Spencer Holbrook. We're sending the whole crew to Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for the Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Missouri. A couple weeks until kickoff. We'll have full coverage at lettermenrow.com. Go there now. Get all that coverage, $1 for your first month, and we'll see you over there. lettermenrow.com. We'll see you back in this building whenever they let us.